Hello everybody and welcome to the first of what will hopefully be many of these kind of videos on this channel. It is a timeline video. So anime, right? Anime can get a little confusing. You got like sequels, you got spin-offs, you got other spin-offs, you got movies. There's a lot to pack in to one series generally, and it's normally not easy at a glance to see what you should be watching in what order. But fear not, for I am here to assist you. Now, in this episode of Timeline, I guess, we'll be looking at one of my favourite series, the Toaru series, aka the Certain series, a Certain Magical Index, Certain Scientific Accelerator, Certain Scientific Railgun. Don't know why I said Accelerator before Railgun, but there you go. There is now a lot to these. Railgun T recently finished, so we have quite a lot to work with now. And boy, without Railgun T, this would be a lot easier of a video. But Railgun T, yeah, it messes things up. How this is going to work, we'll start from the beginning chronologically and then go through it all. And then at the end, I'll say, I mean, there are a few different ways you can watch this series. And I will tell you them all at the end just to keep you guessing, I guess. I also will not be heavily spoiling every arc as I talk about it. I will talk about it briefly. Will not spoil everything about it because, hey, probably want to watch it yourself. So, yeah, but anyway, let's jump into this thing. Should probably mention before we start that I will be looking at the anime only, and I will not be naming dates. This is because, really, the anime doesn't give you many dates in total. Like, unlike the light novels and everything, and you're thinking, why don't you just use the light novel dates? That's basically because the anime doesn't generally stick to it. Like, things will take more time than they're supposed to, things will take less time than they're supposed to. It's not entirely clear. There's anime original arcs in there to mess everything up. So I'm not going to name dates, but I will tell you the chronological order of the anime, just so we're clear. I'm also not going to be going beyond the anime and doing things that aren't adapted, because I don't want to be here for 7 years. So yeah, there's a lot. That's all I'm going to end that on. But anyway, let's get into this. We begin not with a certain magical index, but instead with a certain scientific railgun, with the first arc titled the Level Upper Arc. Now, this arc sort of plays out like there's little individual scenarios, incidents, I guess, but everything eventually relates back to this Level Upper, which, as you couldn't tell by the name, ups people's level, you know? It makes them more powerful than they should be. Misaka and the gang go to investigate the Railgun and her friends, the Rail Gals, as I like to call them. They go to investigate and deal with the Level Upper and all that. Not going to reveal what exactly everything turns out to be, because that would be spoilers. But yeah, also, at the end of this arc, there's a couple episodes that I would say are sort of more epilogue-ish. Episode 13 is a beach episode, swimsuit episode, which, you know, everyone loves. And then episode 14 is more of a traditional epilogue episode. If I remember right, Saturn, like, goes to school with a bunch of people that use the Level Upper, and they learn to not use the Level Upper, basically, and to work hard and all that. Also, there's a short episode like 13 Dash, I think it's called, which takes place during episode 13. It's more swimsuit stuff, which everybody is a big fan of. The Level Upper arc is episodes 1 through 14 of a certain scientific railgun, just there. So that's what you start with. Following on from the Level Upper arc, sticking with Railgun, is the Railgun OVA. In this one, I've watched it once. If I remember right, Misaka feels like she's being watched all the time. So they gotta figure out what that is. It's an OVA, you know, it's like 30 minutes long. It's not too much to it. A lot of the cast puts in an appearance, and they figure out who's watching Misaka. The end of the OVA. That's the OVA. I don't have much else to add on it. It's pretty fine. Interestingly enough, it's the only thing to not be dubbed, only main thing to not be dubbed. I know a lot of the shorts, they've not been dubbed, but in terms of like main episodes, OVA, the only thing to not be dubbed. So keep that in mind, I guess, or don't. Do people still watch dubs? Of course they do. I watch both. After all of those episodes of Railgun, we finally get to Index with the first arc, the Index arc. This is the first 6 episodes of a certain magical index, the first season. And in this in this arc, I guess, we start with our major protagonist. There's a lot of protagonists, but the first protagonist, we'll call him, Tomakamijo, meeting Index for the first time. She's just on his balcony. It's great. And he basically goes about trying to save her. She says she's being chased by sorcerers, and in science-centric Academy City, that's pretty insane. But hey, he trusts her. He sees what she's on about, and he tries to protect her from all the sorcerers. So eventually, he may even succeed. Who knows? We go to a brief interlude from Railgun now, episodes 15 and 16. Very brief, as I said, for the Big Spider arc. Now this arc, they sort of deal with this gang called Big Spider. It heavily features Mi Konari, who works at Judgment with Kuroko Shirai. So they deal with this gang that she apparently has ties to. We don't know exactly what these ties are going in, but they make it very clear coming out of it. As I said, this is an anime original arc, so there's no manga to read about it. So sorry about that, I guess. Back to Index now for everybody's favorite arc. I'm being silly. It's no one's favorite arc. The Deep Blood arc. Now in this arc, Tomakamijo gets invited by Style Magnus basically to go and stop this rogue sorcerer that's doing stuff in Academy City. They also meet Isa Himegami, who has the ability Deep Blood, which lets her kill vampires. To this day, we've never seen a vampire. But they must exist because of the ability to kill them. Yeah, this arc is no one's favourite really. It's fine. There's some cool parts to it, which I'm not going to show because that would be spoilers, obviously. But yeah, they save Himegami. They go to save Himegami from the sorcerer guy. I can't remember his name. He's not too important. Moving on. That is episodes 7 to 9 of Index Season 1. Realised I should probably mention that. Now we get to another anime original arc from Railgun, the Poltergeist Arc. Now, so there's these incidents being called Poltergeist going around. This is caused by who knows what. They think it might be their friend. There's also this woman who is investigating it called Terestina. She is, she's very nice, very pretty lady and all that. But the gang investigates these poltergeist incidents along with her and see what goes down. This is the rest of Railgun Season 1, so episodes 17 through 24 of the original season. And yeah, the gang does it. There's some railguns getting shot off. Oh, it's great. And now we get to everyone's actual favourite arc, the Sisters Arc. Now, the Sisters Arc is the first of the weird arc because it's in both Index and Railgun. The Railgun version is a lot better, more detailed, starts earlier, so you get more of the backstory to it. But the Index version is still good for what it is, but if you're going to watch one, watch the Railgun one. You don't really need to watch Index and Railgun. Everything in the Index one is also in Railgun, really, so you're not really missing much by just watching the one. The Railgun one, as I said, starts earlier. Railgun S episodes 1 through 16 is their Sisters Arc. As I said, there's a lot to it, whereas with Index, it's episodes 10 through 14, so a little bit less to it, but it also starts a bit later, so not too much to worry about. Worth noting, the Railgun S up to like episode 9 or 10 is completely, it's like the pre stuff. It's stuff you don't see in the Index arc. In case you were wondering when the Index section starts in Railgun, Index episode 10, so the start of the Sisters arc, roughly links up with Railgun S episode 11, and then it's sort of the same from there. It's not exact, obviously, and as I said, watch the Railgun arc if you're going to watch one or the other. But yeah, this arc is about Misaka Makoto and her sisters. They're clones of her. There's an experiment going on involving Accelerator, the top-ranked Esper in Academy City. He is a pretty cool dude. He wears this shirt that I'm wearing right now, so there's that. It's pretty good. It's the first arc that really got me like, damn, this is good when I watched it. So I think it's a lot of people's favourite, and it's clear to see why. More confusing arcs now. Now, unlike the Sisters arc, it is not the same arc from different perspectives as with that. It is instead two separate arcs that take place at the same time. So we'll start with the Railgun S Silent Party arc. Now, this arc is another anime original arc. It's probably, in my opinion, the weakest of the anime original arcs. Except the final episode, that's pretty good. This is a Railgun S episodes 17 through 24. Misaka and the gang meet a little girl called February, And they try and save her because there's this group called Study going about who are a group of level zeros, but they're really smart and they want to prove that science and smarts is better than powers. And it's like, nah, mate, she got electric powers. That's way better than all the smarts you got going on. As I said, it's not the greatest arc, but it is there. On the Index side of things, we have the Angel Fall arc, episodes 15 through 17. After the events of the Sisters arc, Toma gets basically told to bugger off for a little bit, so he has a little vacation with his family. Weird thing going on though is that all his family don't look right. His mum looks like Index, the Obama looks like Kuroko on the TV. That's pretty weird. A lot of weird stuff going on. He eventually meets up with Kanzaki and his friend Tsuchimikado, and also a sorcerer by the name of Misha Khrushchev, and the four of them together investigate what's causing this incident known as Angel Fall and put a stop to it. Now, the linking factor between the Silent Party and Angel Fall arcs is that at one point there is a date shown, and both Index episode 15 and Railgun S episode 22 take place at about the same time. So Silent Party starts a bit before Angel Fall, but they eventually link up to being concurrent at the same time. Another quick thing to note about Silent Party, there is an epilogue of Silent Party which takes place, it seems, after Season 1 of Index, after all of Season 1 of Index, because there are a couple things in that epilogue that wouldn't make sense if you watch them right now, involving Toma being at school and something with Accelerator as well, which I'm not going to talk about. So yeah, the epilogue takes place after Index Season 1, just so we're clear. The next arc is called the 3 Stories arc, and as you might expect, it has 3 stories in it. So 2 of these stories focus on Toma Kanajo and more magic side of things, whereas the 3rd story focuses on Accelerator and has more of a science focus. This is also weird because of the episodes. So it's Index episodes 18, 19, and 20, and then the first episode of Index 2 is the 3rd story. It's very strange, but I guess they cut it from the original, and then they were like, oh, we'll do it for Season 2, and then you just slot it in here. Worth noting, in Index 2, that episode 1, there is an epilogue involving Kanzaki and some knights. That seems to take place at the actual Index 2 point, not here. Just another thing to keep in mind. The first story of this arc, Toma gets asked by Misaka to pretend to be her boyfriend because there's this creepy stalker dude chasing her, so he has to deal with that. The second story, I guess we'll stick with Toma right now. This is in Index 2, Episode 1, this story. There's a magician that goes after Index because he needs the grimoires in her head. Very basic. Not going to explain why he needs it. You can watch that yourself. And Toma has to save Index. That's the second story. Now, the third story is easily the most interesting, and I think the one people most remember about this one. Instead focuses on Accelerator. After the events of the Sisters arc, he gets asked by a little sister called Last Order, the last sister, this is why she's so small, basically, help me out. There's a bad guy called Aoi who was a researcher on the Sisters project, the level 6 shift project, who is after Last Order. He's going to put a virus on the Sisters, and Accelerator has got to go stop him, basically. Accelerator taking the hero's role this time around. It's pretty good, this arc, although I think most people like myself tend to forget that half this arc is actually about Toma. Everyone remembers the Accelerator stuff. I think that's fair to say. Following on from that, Toma and everyone return to school. Summer vacation is over for the first arc of the school year, I guess. The Hyoko Kazakiri Arc. Now, the Hyoko Kazakiri Arc features Hyoko Kazakiri, who is this girl with glasses. She and Index become friends. This is Index episodes 21 through 24, the remainder of the first season of Index. Hyoko Kazakiri is this girl with glasses. There's that going on as well. Meanwhile, completely to shift gears a little bit, Sherry Cromwell, who is a magician who has a golem called Ellis, attacks Academy City. It's the first time I think that science and magic proper have a fight. Like Kuroko fights her at one point, if I remember right. Misaka probably gets involved too, knowing her. And yeah, they have to stop Sherry Cromwell while discovering the truth about Hyoko Kazakiri. What could that be? Well, I'm not going to tell you. And then that's where we wrap up Index Season 1, so I guess the Silent Party epilogue is just after this arc, which makes sense to me. I don't know if that's 100% accurate, but I'm going to go with that's how it is. After that, we take a break and go to the one and only arc of a certain scientific accelerator, the Necromancer Arc, episodes 1 through 12, of course, of the Accelerator anime. In this arc, Accelerator is approached by Esther Rosenthal, who needs his help to stop a bad guy, basically. She's a necromancer, so she brings people back from the dead, sort of. Accelerator is initially not too fussed about helping, but upon learning Last Order could be in danger, being targeted by this bad guy, then he's quick to interject himself. There's also a group called DA, who are like a rogue anti-skill. There's Scavenger are in this. There's giant mechs. They throw a lot at this anime. When you look at it, there's a lot in this arc, which is fine. Accelerator also does a lot of cool things, as you'd expect him to do. I don't really have much else to add. It's just a fine Accelerator does cool things arc. We head back to Index now for the Ursula Aquinas Arc. This is episodes 2 through 5 of Index Season 2, along with that weird epilogue in episode 1. In this one, Toma, Style, and Index go to save a nun by the name of Ursula Aquinas from the Amakusa Church. They team up with the Agnese forces, Sister Agnese and her minions. We'll go with minions. They all team up and go to save Ursula Aquinas from the Amakusa Church, or the Amakusa Church, I don't know exactly how it's pronounced. Things aren't quite what they seem, however, but hey, the good guys will win in the end. That's the one thing you can be sure of. After that, we have another weird arc, the Tree Diagram Remnant Arc. It's weird because it doesn't focus on Toma, Accelerator, or Misaka. Instead focuses on Kuroko. She gets into a fight with Oaki Musujime, who is after the Tree Diagram Remnant. The reason she wants this, who can say? However, what it could be used for is restarting the Sisters Project, and of course, nobody wants that. Kuroko, not aware of the Sisters Project, is fighting for her own reasons. And yeah, it's like just a short little arc. It's episodes 6 and 7 of Index Season 2. It's pretty fine for what it is. So next we have another weird one. It's Railgun T Episode 1. Now why this is here and not with the rest of the Daihase arc is very, very simple. Kuroko is still in hospital. However, in the movie, Kuroko is in the wheelchair out and about. Now this could just be she's there for a checkup in Railgun T Episode 1. But I'm going to take this to mean she got discharged after this episode, and then the movie happens, and then Daihase happens. Spoilers for in a little bit, I guess. So that's kind of weird. That's why this is here. I don't have much to add on it, other than this episode focuses on, or not focuses on, but it features all the level 5s we know, all 6 of them. So, you know, except the one we don't know, of course, number 6. The rest of them all make appearances throughout this episode, and it basically focuses on this committee trying to find representatives to do the Daihase Festival opening speech. But mostly it's just a reintroduction to Railgun after, what was it, 7 years of having no episodes? So that's probably what it should best be viewed as. After that, we have the one and only movie of this franchise, the Miracle of Endemion. Now this movie focuses on, there's a new character called Arisa Mego, and she is a singer. There's also a space elevator that has been in Academy City the whole time apparently. No, I promise, it's been there the whole time. And on the top of this space elevator, the Endemion, Arisa is going to perform a song. There is a really old lady called Lady Lee Tangleroad, who is the bad guy. Toma and friends get involved. Misaka and friends get involved. There's a big old fight at the end. It's your pretty typical anime movie fare, but it's alright, you know, it's pretty good. There's a spider mech at one point. It's pretty good. I enjoyed it quite a lot when I watched it. After that, we have once again another strange arc, the Daihase Festival Arc. This one is strange because, as with Sisters, it is both Index and Railgun. Unlike Sisters, however, this is not the same events from separate perspectives. It is in fact completely different events. So the Index half of the Daihase arc takes place mostly on the first day, well, entirely on the first day, really. And it revolves around Style, Toma, and Tsuchimikado going after a sorceress by the name of Oriana Thompson. There's the Cross of Peter, or the Cross di Pietro, if you want to be Italian about this. I'm sorry to all the Italians I offended right there with a really bad attempt at saying the word. There'll probably be another one coming up very briefly. But yeah, they go after her to stop her from doing that, because that would be quite bad, actually. So let's not do that. What that would do is make it so that the whole of Academy City, if it gets planted, is in control of that church, which would not be good for the balance of the force and all that. This is Index 2, episodes 8 through 13, so quite lengthy arc. And yeah, it's pretty good. Toma and the gang heads out. There's also some sporting events in here, as you would expect from the Daihase Festival. Now, the Railgun half is where things get weird. So, unlike the Index half, it's all one day. Railgun's half is across 2 separate days, with of course some of it being on the same day as the Index half. In case you were wondering, Railgun T episode 2 sort of coincides with Index 2 episode 8, whereas Railgun T episode 3 sort of coincides with Index 2 episode 10. It's not exact, as I said. Another thing on Index 2 episode, the final episode of that, 13, Railgun T episode 4, the first half, there's a fireworks show. Those 2 fireworks shows are the same fireworks show, so they are also synced up, kind of, exactly. It's not concrete, as I said, but it is the best we got. Anyway, what the Railgun arc is actually about. So Misaka's sister gets kidnapped, and this arc heavily features Misaki Shokuho, the 5th ranked level 5 Esper. So she is also at Tokiwadai with Misaka, and the 2 of them, first they're at odds, but then eventually they team up and they go to fight the true villain in Gensei Kihara. There is also a Mitori Kozaku going around. Member are involved in this, who are a dark side organization, which I haven't really spoken about yet, but we'll talk about them a bit later on in more detail. But yeah, they're in this and they're up to something. There's a lot of stuff going on in this arc, and it's pretty damn good. It's probably my favorite, if I'm being honest. And yeah, a lot of people fighting. Kuroko does cool things. Everyone's memories get erased at one point. Toma does cool things even after the Index arc. There's a lot to like about this one. Gunha Sugita, the number 7, level 5, he's also in this. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good arc. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of this one. That, of course, was Railgun T episodes 2 through 15, most of that series. After that, we go to Index 2, episodes 14 through 16. Now, I'm going to have to read the arc name off my notes because I'm not very good at Italian. So it is the La Regina del Mare Adriatico arc. Again, apologies if I butchered that, any Italians watching. I tried my best, and that is all people can really ask. But this arc, which I will now call the Ice Boats arc, is as it says. There's ice boats, and Toma and friends. Toma gets a trip to Italy, so he goes to Italy, where he runs to Ursula and the Amakusa, helping her move to London, basically, and then they get attacked by ice boats. Pretty crazy, I know. On the ice boat there, they find held captive Sister Agnese from earlier, and all of her minions, and they have to help them too, because Toma is such a nice guy like that, and it's as you'd expect. It's pretty. I remember liking this arc decently enough, I guess. It was all right. Ice boats. That's the crucial thing, is ice boats. And then we go to the Dream Ranker arc. Now, this video, as I've probably mentioned before, maybe not, who knows, would have been a lot simpler if the Dream Ranker arc would behave itself. So unlike the rest of these arcs, the Dream Ranker arc is not one point. It's like it starts here, then there's a bit over here, then there's a bit over here. It's very confusing and annoying. What the Dream Ranker arc is, at its most basic, what it's about is Indian poker, which is this card thing, which basically you put it on your head, this card, and it lets you see people's dreams that they've written to the card. Very cool concept, I actually kind of think so. And the first, episode 16, is sort of them learning about it. Episode 17, Kuroko and Uiharu meet this kid with precognitive abilities, and he helps them solve problems. It's not all of episode 17 that's here though, however, there's like a little montage halfway through. That is where you stop, because after the montage, we go forward in time a little bit. So, right now, this is pre-montage, I guess, and a similar case with episode 19, where Saturn meets Frenda for the first time. Frenda, of course, works for Item, which again, we'll get to in a later arc. We'll talk about the Dark Side organizations a bit more. Saturn meets Frenda for the first time, and then about halfway through again, there's like a montage where they're texting each other. That again is where you stop, because the rest of that happens at a later time. So yeah, Dream Ranker, behave yourself is all I'm going to say. This is basically like the start of the Dream Ranker. Nothing really big happens in this little first section on any of those episodes, but it is still, hey, that's where they go. We then head back from Railgun T to Index 2 for the next one for the Academy City Invasion arc. Now this is an alright arc. This arc heavily features, it's the first one to feature real split viewpoints from an Index side of things, other than 3 stories, with Toma and Accelerator getting pretty much equal billing for this arc. It starts out, casually enough. Toma gets forced to go out with Misaka. Accelerator chases Last Order for about. They waifu swap at one point. Accelerator hangs out with Index. Toma hangs out with Last Order. Then things go bad, like real bad. So Hound Dog goes after Last Order and starts beating up Accelerator. Meanwhile, on the magic side of things, Ventum of the Front shows up to mess with Toma and knock everyone unconscious. That's important. And just stuff going around all over on this one. Misaka is also involved, as I said. A lot of stuff going on. They get frog straps, Toma and Misaka, which is again an important plot point. It's pretty good arc. It's episodes 18 through 23, or the first part of episode 23 for Index Season 2. The reason it's only the first part of Index 23 is because, well, we'll get to it in a minute. But yeah, it's up to the bit when Toma's sitting at school is the next arc in that episode. So keep that in mind, I guess, when you're watching. Although it's not actually that important, because up next we have, following on from that, Index 2 still, the second half of episode 23 and episode 24, the Skill Out Uprising arc. Now, the most notable thing about this arc, I think it's fair, is that, well, there's actually a couple of things now I'm thinking about it. It's the formation of Group, which is a dark side organization featuring people we've already met, including Accelerator, Musujime, Misaka's Stalker from the 3 Stories arc, and Tsuchimikado, Toma's friend. That's the first important thing to happen. The second important thing to happen is it's the debut of Hamazura Shiage, who will become, I guess I should say, the third protagonist of the series, the third male protagonist of the series. He's working to Skill Out at this point. Toma and Accelerator go to rescue Misaka's mum from them because they're going to do bad things to her. That's not good. Save them, boys. Save them indeed. And that's where we end Index Season 2, and where you have to wait for 8 years until Season 3 comes out. Was it worth it, guys? I'm glad I didn't have that wait. I'm really glad I watched it kind of late. Just going to be honest with you. After that, we go back to Railgun T for more Dream Ranker, everybody's favourite. So, this is episode 17 after the montage. Episode which is the fallout of the ending, I guess, of Kuroko and Uiharu and that kid's precognitive adventure. Episode 18 of Dream Ranker of Railgun T features Misaka and Kinuhata, another member of Item, searching for the bus stopper to make themselves have bigger boobs. That's the plot of the episode. I'm not joshing you. The rest of episode 19 and episode 20 focus on Saturn and Frenda. Frenda gets into a fight with an operative from School called Rako Yumiya. School, of course, another dark side organization, which we're getting very close to the main arc where I want to talk about them more. So yeah, they get into a scrap as well, and all of this is leading up into the finale of the Dream Ranker arc. Should probably mention episode 20 it's up to the week time skip. At the very end, there's a time skip to a later point. That later point, you do not. That's where you stop, because that's later on. That's after a couple more arcs for fairly obvious reasons, which I'm not going to say because spoilers, but pretty obvious reasons. But yeah, that's the Dream Ranker section here. There's one more section of Dream Ranker to go, and thankfully, it's mostly self-contained. Before that, though, we head to Index Season 3 for the Document of Constantine arc. Now, in this arc, Toma and Tsuchimikado go to France, where they meet up with Itsuwa of the Amakusa Church, and they have to deal with the Document of Constantine because it's making everyone violent. They also get into a fight with Terror of the Left. This is Index 3, episodes 1 to 3, in which will be a recurring theme of 3-episode arcs. It's pretty fine. It's one of the better arcs of Season 3, I think, because that's just me, because doesn't feel super rushed. Terror of the Left is there. He looks kind of weird. Itsuwa is there, proclaiming herself as best girl, fight me. And yeah, I like it just for Itsuwa, really. If I'm going to be completely honest with you, Itsuwa makes this arc for me. It's not just her outfit, I swear. Sticking with Index 3, however, moving away from Toma and instead to Accelerator, we have the Battle Royale arc. Now, this is Index 3, episodes 4 through 6, and it's the one that features all the dark side organizations. It's very notable. This, as it's called, Battle Royale. It's basically just all the dark side organizations fighting. We have Group, that's Accelerator's one. Item, which have now picked up Hamazura as a lackey. School, which has Kakine Tekuto in it. I don't know if I said his name right, but he's the second ranked level 5 Dark Matter. And also Member and Block. Who cares about Block? They're nothing. And Member are... I mean, they got some important things going on. But this whole arc basically is a battle royale. There's a lot of death in this arc. I'm going to be frank with you. A lot of people die. But, yeah. Very... it's very... I mean, this arc, I like it just for the fights. Like, Accelerator fights Kakine at one point. Number 1 versus number 2. That's pretty cool, gonna be honest with you. To the final section of Dream Ranker we go. So, Railgun T, episode 20. The final section with Uiharu and Satan eating some fish. That part is here, and that happens on the same night as the rest of Railgun T, episodes 21 through 25. The Doppelganger sub-arc, I guess. So, basically, there's a researcher called Kuriba, and she doppelgangered herself. She cloned herself basically by splitting her body in half and having cyborg parts, and then they put the cyborg part back together, and it's realized that it's a cyborg and it's going a bit mental. So Misaka and Misaki Shogaho, mental out, they go to sort it out basically, and they deal with it. Other notable things in this arc: Scavenger are in this, way back from the Accelerator arc. They make their return in this arc, which is pretty wild. And yeah, there's also giant battles. This is pretty good. Considering Dream Ranker is not a lot of people's favorite, I think they did pretty well for themselves, especially this Doppelganger section. It's pretty interesting. So that finished off Railgun T, which means we're pretty smooth sailing now. We go to Index 3, episodes 7 through 9, the Aqua of the Back arc. So following the events that Toma, dealt with Terror of the Left in France, there's no more messing about. Aqua of the Back has come to kill Toma Kamijo. The Amakusa and Itsuwa, as Toma's new bodyguard, have gone to protect him. Aqua of the Back, though, he's pretty damn strong. It turns out he's actually a saint as well as being a member of God's Right Seat. And yeah, Toma doesn't do too well. This arc mostly actually focuses on Itsuwa as the main protagonist of it, I guess. Kanzaki is also in this. There's a lot of fighting Aqua. That's the most notable thing I think about this arc. They really try and fight Aqua to the best of their ability, and sometimes they even succeed. Who knew? Sticking with Toma now, Index Season 3, episodes 10 through 14, it's the British Royal Family arc. So Toma and Index get invited to England to go and meet the British Royal Family, which is great. However, there is also a magic cabal, I think they're called New Lights, that are up to no good. They all wear tracksuits, which is a notable thing, and they are basically, they're pretty much comedy villains, I'm going to be honest, but hiding themselves before the true villain of this arc shows up to lead a coup and a rebellion in England. Not going to say who it is or what exactly happens, but that is a thing that happens. It's pretty good arc. This is one of the arcs that is suffered the most, I think, from Index 3's cramming stuff in. I'm not going to get too into that because I already made a video about that, but it is still a thing that happened. So, British Royal Family arc though, Toma, very in trouble. The other notable thing at the end of this arc, which I have to mention because it leads into the next arc, Index gets her soul, her consciousness kidnapped by Fiamma of the Right, the leader of God's Right Seat, and the main antagonist, I guess, for the final section, which we'll get to briefly. So that gives Toma the reason he needs to head to Russia to go and fight him. Before that, though, we have to check in with the others. So Index 3, episodes 15 through 17 is the Dragon arc. Focuses on Accelerator and Group trying to research what Dragon is after they learn about it in Battle Royale arc. Eventually they do meet Dragon and figure out what's going on, and Accelerator gets told to go to Russia to help cure our Last Order. Also, Hamazura, didn't mention him but he is also important, and he also, in this arc is trying to save Takitsubo, who is another member of Item, from this crystal poisoning she's got. So in doing that, he also figures out basically, let's go to Russia. What are the chances everybody's going to go to Russia? Dragon arc, I've skipped over a lot of it, but Dragon arc's probably the worst arc in Index 3 because of the cramming. Not gonna lie. And then finally, we get to the finale, Index Season 3, the finale for right now, I should say. Index 3, episodes 18 through 26, the World War III arc. This arc focuses on everyone. Toma's there, Accelerator's there, Hamazura's there, Misaka shows up at some point, Kanzaki's doing some fighting, the Princess is doing some fighting, Akira the Back's doing some fighting, Fiyama's there as the main villain. There's a lot of stuff going on. Toma fights Accelerator quite early on to snap him into it. There's a lot going on here. Like, I'm gonna be honest, this focuses, it's in Russia. Toma is going after Fiyama to get Index's consciousness back and stop him from destroying the world, basically. Accelerator is just looking for a way to heal Last Order, which he may have to find means he's not much associated with to do that. And Hamazura, of course, is trying to heal Taketsubo and try and figure out a way to get Academy City to stop going after him, because that's a thing that also happened. It's a good arc. They're in Russia, as I said. There's a big old war going on. It starts as a pretty, like, mechs versus tanks, and then there's a floating continent, like Angel Island's up there. It's pretty mental arc. I really like World War III arc. It feels very climactic, and that is where we end. For now, until they announce more, because, I mean, I know there's more light novels, I know there's more manga that's not been animated, I know there's a lot more coming, but that is where we end this timeline video for right now. Did you enjoy it? Is there anything I could have done better? Let me know. I'm always open to constructive criticism, it only helps everyone. But yeah, did I miss anything out? Did I get anything wrong? I think I got most things right, like timeline-wise. First off, should probably do this now, right? As I said I was gonna. So this is the chronological order, right? This is how you watch the show. No, don't do that. If this is your first time watching, don't do what I just went through, because that's insane. If you've already watched it before, go for it. You know, it probably won't affect you too much. But for a first time, the way I see it, there's a few different ways of watching it. You got chronological, which is this, which I've just gone through. There's by series, which is where you go Index, Railgun, Movie, Accelerator, which I'm not sure I'd completely recommend. There's release order, which of course is, I think, Index, Railgun, Index 2, Railgun S, Movie, Index 3, Accelerator, Railgun T, which is fine, I guess. You're not going to miss too much doing that, but it's not what I recommend personally. Or by season, which what I would recommend, so write this down, I guess. Index Season 1, Railgun Season 1, Railgun S, Accelerator, Index Season 2, the movie, Index Season 3, and then Railgun T. That is the order I would recommend watching in for a first time. Like, that's not chronological, but that's like sort of close to chronological without spoiling later things. It's a little bit, you know, all over the place, but it's how I'd recommend watching it. Like, if I'm going to tell you what's the best, I think Railgun S and T are the best, with Index 3 and Accelerator being the worst seasons. Still alright though, I still don't think they're terrible, but that's how I'd watch it if I was you. That's not prediction, that's my recommendation. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up here. Thank you for watching this timeline video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give a subscribe and stuff, because that would help me out a lot. Leave a comment suggesting other series you'd like to see timeline videos of, and if I can do it, I'll do it, you know? I want to try and do more different types of videos, so that is what I'm up for right now. I will see you guys in whatever video you decide to watch next, so take care, and bye guys.